Welcome to Jeff's Train World. Well, it's Dutchman's Woodchuck, but it's actually Jeff's Train World because I'm in a process of, I've got another channel. So I invite everybody over there. If you're a model railroader or a hobbyist with just building models and having a good time, I have a couple RC cars down there too. But anyway, I do, like you said, look up Jeff's Model Railroad H HO, gauge, and N gauge, and you'll see me there. Now, what I need is subscribers so I could open a live chat. I can't do that yet. I'm posting videos as I go, so that's the reason why I came on my Dutchman's Woodchuck page to let everybody know. I'm gonna be going in for surgery for my hip in a couple weeks, and while I'm doing it, I'm gonna be working on some complicated. I'm gonna be working on some complicated things. So right now my woodworking thing is on hold because I don't want to get started on something. I've got a lot of tests I got to do this week before I go under the knife. So I'm not looking forward to that right now. So anyway, what I wanted to show you guys what I was doing. Okay, I'm cutting pieces, small pieces away, but I'm trying to make a Ferris wheel. Now Faller has this Ferris wheel. All right, so this is what it looks like with the motor on it. Okay, so the problem is this has got wiring all around here, so there's lights in here. And I have to wire this. Once I get these pieces together, I have to wire it. Every one of these cars will have a wire in it, I think, a light. And there's a motor that goes in here that'll turn that. So I'm presently working on that. I think that's what it's supposed to look like when it's all lit up. So I don't know. I might be kind of. It's kind of hard to tell, but um, and everything's in German, of course. So it'll be interesting to see what happens because in there are meters and centimeters. So everything I'm reading, I have to convert down to that. It's difficult. Okay, so but what I wanted to show you guys is that I'm going to start doing. Um, my idea here was okay, so I was just going to end this top track up here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend it over here and make it come around the wall down here. I know you can't see part of that because it cuts it off, but um, that's I'm going to have it go up to a certain point, probably go back in that corner. Um, I'd like to make it do a loop and come back around. I don't know if I can or not. I kind of laid this out haphazardly. I've been working on this off and on for probably 20 years. So this is like my biggest layout I've made. I've made some small ones out of on doors. Best if you really want to get into this and just have a small thing, you can put legs on it. I'm taking these small these land doors, 30 inches, 28 inches wide, and standard size, whatever, 7. And I put a couple of legs from Lowe's. I can turn them too. So but then I put a small, you can buy a set of track. Now you can get some really good stuff and put it on there. And you can build your own stuff on it. If you don't want to do that, you can just have a flat track. There's a lot of DIY things out there for you guys to do. So that is part of woodworking. And I might do that along the way and then like have a contest for people to see win because I like doing that. I go to train shows when I can. I've been away. I just got back this morning from my trip out west, so um, I wanted to get back on and show you guys what my latest thing is. So anyway, what I'm going to be doing, in fact, when I'm down with, I can't. I'm not. When I have my hip surgery, I can't do much. So I'm probably going to be building this model. I'm just getting it prepped for it. My idea is, and you can see here, lights have to go in it. So it's a complicated thing, and I have to really go over and over again to remind myself. I'm like, and it's in German. Yes, the wife can talk German, so we don't, you know what I mean? So that's a good thing. So anyway, uh, I've done a lot of houses. My big problem is when I left, I was still in the middle of wiring the house. I have a light in there, and I have a light in the fire station. Now the whole thing was wrapped around forestry. So what I wanted to do is basically do up in the mountains up here, where I have it. I was gonna put different kinds of um, lights in it, and possibly do a forestry where I wanted it one time to put a gondola across. But it's difficult to find anything forestry. So I have a lot of fire trucks, but they're not green or white for that matter. So I have to custom make them because I can't find them online. I don't think Fowler or Atlas or anybody else makes them anymore like they used to. That's the problem with N gauge. This is one of the small ones. There is a Z gauge, believe it. It's a little bit smaller than this too. Um, but I do. I have O gauge, and I also that's O gauge. Lionel's O gauge. This is a collector's item. I've had this since I was probably 8 or something. 1962. I was born in '56. So there you go. And I do have an HO that's up here on top of my collection. But most of my collection, because I was small and portable, I used to live in an apartment. I had this. Um, was with this N gauge because it's easy to move around, and I can make a tighter loop um, corners on it than I can with HO or O gauge. Although O gauge is fun. Now there's the guy that has the backyard stuff. That's really kind of cool, but that's a step up for me. So this here, I had issues with. Well, I'm gonna run it and see. Now, one of the biggest problem I've had with this track is it's flex track and you're putting it on foam board. So because I put it on foam board, um, and then put paper mache over the top of it, it runs good. But see, my track, for some reason, right here, this thing doesn't work right. This switch, it's kind of it throws when they go over it. There's a thing right here somewhere seems to throw it off, and I can't figure out why. It's driving me nuts. Um, I love trains. I'm a train buff, but I'm also, you know, my HDAD kicks in, and I like doing anything. So um, I've had my neighbors' kids down here a lot. Joey and Cole like to come down here and have fun, and I like showing it to them. Their hats are up here on the wall, so they have their own hats when they come down here. If anybody ever wants to come to my shop, it's at the far end of my shop, so they can come down and we can talk trains or shop. Um, but it is woodworking too. Okay, so one thing I want to explain to you guys, all right, is that when you lay this out, something this size, that you have to do the research on. You can hear my train, my clock going off. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, you have to lay it out, um, and do the research on what you're going to use for like mountains and stuff. Because what happens is there's several different ways you could do this. The biggest problem I had is I used different things in here. I didn't want to use what they call a homosome. Then it's almost like a drywall board, but with this flex track, you have to pin it down with something. And the nails that you use, unfortunately, are really small. They're only like a half an inch long, and it doesn't hold the track down. They move around, especially where I'm at in a basement, you know, bottom of the house, and it gets a lot of moisture. So the idea is to figure out a way to keep the moisture out, but keep the track down. And what I've found is using glue. Now I've got different kinds of glue I use. Um, I'll pin it down with something and let it set I'll do a section, let it set for a couple hours, and then I'll remove the spikes. And I use Gorilla Glue on it. I've used super glue. There's some stuff that you can buy in the hobby shop for this. Um, and it's kind of cool. It's a fun thing to do. If you get all stressed out, this is fun to do because you can come down here and fool around. And I swear, I'll come down here. It's like when I'm turning, same thing. I don't know how much time I spend fooling around with it. The difficult thing with me is I'm not electronic savvy like I used to be. And I can't get around like I used to, so it's kind of hard. So getting up underneath to do the wiring, it's a pain. And a lot of the wiring stuff they give you, like this, these are some of the light bulbs. The wire is really, really small. See, so what I tend to do is you have to compromise. Now I got to figure out a way to, let's say, um, solder these. I saw something on somebody's work page where it was a bench. I think it was a model railroad bench setup. A guy was on one of the shows on YouTube. They had a way to solder these things on another piece of wire instead of using these plastic these things because they'll come off. They're a pain in the butt to deal with begin with. But and then the bigger idea is when I'm doing a lot of heavy duty wiring is I used to like wire nuts. But the thing is now they don't have wiring stores. They don't have electronic stores. So it's kind of a pain. But see, the idea here is basically to, I just want to get this up and running around enough to where people can come in and play with it for a while. Anyway, and I've got a lot of collector's items in here. So the other thing is too, I have a couple of items in here. I'll show you. I have to redo all my cars. So this is the kind of coupler you get when you buy. I think the new ones are coming out with this kind now. Let's see. Where are you? There you go. They're coming out with this setup. I know it's kind of small to see. But the difference is, let's see, now I got to change the wheels out. You see this car? These wheels that I've changed the wheels out in a number of them, are smaller in this. But what's cool about this is these things pop off. Some of them have screws on them. Some of them have little pop-offs. So you could take the old ones off and put new ones on it. The only downfall is the engines have a problem. Some of the engines I have, I can't change them out. So my idea is I take a car like this, take one end off, put this on it, keep one of the old ones on it, and keep the other one, the new one, on the other end. And that way all the cars could be done. And it's the easiest way to do it because I've heard people say it's really difficult to change some of the engines. I think that one there is a good example. I have some other ones, but I have this thing. All right, big boy. Okay, so I'll put that right here for now. I don't want to send it. But big boy, if you've ever heard of the actual train big boy, it's huge. This thing's got about 25, 30 wheels on it. And it takes a lot to get it on the track. Now this coupler right here, this thing here, is what I use to get the cars on straight with the engine. They're difficult to put on here with a small track. It's hard to see. A lot of times I'll have to use a flashlight and look and see if they're on or not. But with this, you don't have so much of a problem. I have another one somewhere around here that I could use. I messed up when I put this track together, and I didn't put one in it, but I'm going to put one down there it'll be down by the roundhouse when I'm through with that. So this is what my whole layout is kind of going to be. The forestry is going to be up at the top of the hill here. You can see where the castle is. There's going to be a lake here. I got to put resin in it. And I'm going to take and fill that out with a bunch of, like, over in the other end is a lookout tower. It has a light in it, by the way. So I just haven't wired this back up because of the way this controller is. And so a lot of this is going to be like a resort thing up in the woods. There's going to be some pine trees up there. It's going to look like a forest. I might try and figure out a way to make it look like it's on fire in spots. I do have airplanes, by the way. So over here, if I can get this out of the way. Okay, so over here, there's a roundhouse. Okay, so the roundhouse is right here. The problem I had with this is the old one. Okay, so the old one got broken up. Now I had this on another table and it got broken up a little bit. I don't know, I could probably fix it. But see, the thing is you come across, and it does work. The motor does work, by the way. So this, I'm trying to figure out how this works. This is the controller switch for the switch, and this was for the wires that go up into this. I did have a problem with it one time, so I had to take it apart and work on it. But other than that, it'll still work. But I chose a different way doing it. This one here, it's a little bit different. The notches that you go through with the train, where you put the track, are a little tighter. So there's more of them. But I've got 6 stalls in that roundhouse over there. What I have to do though is line out those 6 stalls so that the trains go straight back. Otherwise they'll be at an angle and I don't want that. So that means this might have to go down here further, which is not a problem. It just makes the runs longer and keeps them straighter. That thing was sitting in here originally, and that was set up for that. It was a different story because it didn't have that same situation. With this one, all I had to do is turn it to the spot. So this is also, you can control it manually. Now the motor is right there. So I haven't hooked it up yet, but I'm still keeping this. So the idea here is going to be city. Going to be sitting down here. Is going to be a circus. I'm going to have a circus back in this corner somewhere. A lot of that stuff up there is a circus. There, arcades. Not a circus, but a carnival. I have farmers. I got a donut shop. I got lumber mills. I got a grain thing sitting there too. So what I need more of is a lot of lumber stuff. Lumber mills and logs. But now I've got some trucks over there that are lumber trucks, so I need to get a couple more though. But I'm looking for like logging equipment. I can go ape with it. Then I'm going to be down for a while, so I figure that's what I'm going to do, is start building more models. So, do I have roads down for the cars yet? No, and I haven't figured out how I'm going to lay that out yet. I'm just kind of placing houses here and there. I'm letting somebody, and I kind of like your input too. So, I'm not getting a lot of people on my YouTube channel because I have been gone. But I did some research on trees when I was in Hawaii. I did bring a bunch of wood back, I had planned on turning something today, but I just hadn't felt like it. I got home early this morning, so I'm kind of pooped. But yeah, I'm full of hot air. So instead of Choo Choo Charlie, it's Choo Choo Jeff. So anyway, I just thought I'd tell you guys that. Tell you what I'm up to. And hopefully I can get you guys to go over to my other channel. I mean, and if you got kids, bring them along. Eventually, I'm gonna have my O gauge, my Lionel running back and forth. You know, I just right now I've been working on this, trying to get it functional enough to have people over, because this is an ongoing thing. I think I'm going to be doing this until I die, probably. I mean, I've been working on it at least 20 years. There you go. And what happened is I started it. I got involved in woodworking, and I ended up doing furniture, and then I got the lathe, and that kind of put me down. So I have a scroll saw I haven't used very much. Now, I know there's a guy on here that does scroll saw work, good friend of mine, John P. does some great, John P. Cousins does some great, What If You Could is the name of his channel. But he's also on with Whips and Chains and stuff with the girls. And he's got into crocheting now, not woodworking. So, not so much woodworking, I should say. So it's kind of like me and the trains. All right, so people might say it's boring. I don't care. So one day I might just set it up, put the camera in here, and spend it, I don't know how long doing stuff, and hopefully I'll have my act together on getting the channel set up so you guys can talk to me back. I'd love to have a side-by-side with people. If you're interested in being part of the, I'm going to start my own club off of this. If you're interested in it, let me know. I'm always looking for somebody to help me out with this too, especially in person, because I'm like, so anyway, let me see here. I don't know if I got people showing up. Huh. Telebeam. Well, I'm going to show you guys here in a minute. Well, no, I'll forget it. Not worth it. I don't want to bore you guys. Anyway, since I did it, yes, it was for kids. Part of the problem is it won't let anybody text me, I guess. See, I don't know this stuff, so anyway, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to go get my act together and start putting this together. I want to try and get some of this done before I go under the knife too, because then when I come out, I want to be able to function on that. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching the Dutchmans Woodcheck and the Jeff's Trains. Go check out my train channel, because I'm posting whatever I do on here, there. All right, I'm trying to get it over to that. So that's the reason why I came on tonight, to let people know. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good Sunday night. I'm going to go finish watching the rest of the football game and see what happens. Hope everybody had a great weekend. God bless. Make more sawdust, or in this case, go play with a train somewhere. Later, Gators.